that time. It's Wednesday. I'm always happy when our good friends from All Creatures Veterinary Center, which is also associated with Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital, located next to Edwards Cinema on Soledad. All Creatures Veterinary Center, by the way, a 24/7 emergency center as well. It's located on Lyons Avenue between Newhall Avenue and Lyons in the Newhall Avenue and, begging your pardon, Main Street, in those beautiful Victorian buildings there on Lyons Avenue. We have Dr. Maryweather with us. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about worms and what they do to our babies when we get them, and especially for people who get puppies or kittens from maybe friends who accidentally had a litter, or maybe I know I was talking to you off the air back in the 90s. There used to be a pet supply store that would just give them away, and all three of the cats I had, little kittens, little adorable things, ended up with worms. So how does that happen, and what do we do to rectify the situation, as it were?
Well, a lot of them kind of start off infected, if that makes sense.
Just they're born that way, or
either born, or sometimes they can get it kind of when they're nursing. It's just very, very prevalent. And so, we deworm both puppies and kittens several times, kind of in the early part of their life. And so it's important to get them in to see a vet.
Now, what do these is it mostly, what kind of worms are they when they're
usually intestinal worms,
and just causing problems with their digestive system usually, or what does that do ultimately?
Depending on what happens, and kind of the load that they're dealing with, that they steal nutrients, and so growing puppies and kittens need lots of food,
right?
And so they're kind of stealing from them in that way, and then they can also cause impactions and kind of get stuck.
So general health problems, especially in the developmental phase of puppies and kittens, that can cause problems for them, especially later on in life. And understand, almost like human babies. So it's understandable to get them in. So in the deworming process, are we talking about vaccinations, or?
Well, it's often kind of incorporated in kind of like kitten care packages, puppy care packages. Whereas we need to see the puppies and kittens every several weeks. For vaccinations, and we usually deworm them at the same time. And so both the vaccinations and the deworming are just kind of preventative care, important steps towards kind of getting them off on the right foot.
Well, what other kind of problems can we or can be associated with either puppies or kittens? Let's start with puppies, for example. And like I said, again, when you're getting a puppy maybe from the animal shelter or from a breeder, you're usually they have their vaccinations
they've had
in place.
One or two series.
So we're talking about, again, someone who they didn't spay or neuter, especially their female dog, and something happened and they ended up with babies and things like that. So they're giving them away, or perhaps like a pet store or something happens to be giving them away. What are the other diseases or
so the main, like in puppies, the main diseases we worry about, especially in this area, is parvo and distemper.
Okay.
Both of which actually commonly occur. And even in a breeder puppy or a puppy you get from the shelter, if they've had a break in their vaccination, like if you don't get them to the vet right away, they're still very susceptible.
And what is parvo? What does that do?
It's a kind of an intestinal disease, so it gives them really bad diarrhea.
Oh, okay. And distemper is what I know about it. It's what they do, kind of gooping up their eyes. But what else is that? Just a symptom, or is that really the main cause of distemper?
Well, they're all kind of viruses. And so kind of the big concern with distemper is it can do a lot of things, from, the eye goobers and a fever all the way up to like neurological signs where it can get very serious.
So this is why it's important, if you're especially getting a puppy or a kitten from someone who has just, they were born and we got them weaned off the mama, and now we're just giving them away, to make sure that they get them to the vet as soon as possible.
Yeah, especially if you're getting a very oddly well-behaved puppy.
Oh, really? Yes.
those are generally the ones that we kind of suspect the most.
The quiet ones that aren't really...
that never gave you any trouble.
They're not interacting. They're just kind of being very quiet, laying down. Oh, that's interesting, because they are.
I think it's important to point out that, even puppies that have had previous vaccines, if there's a break in coverage, they're all susceptible at that age.
And they can always bring their puppies or kittens to either All Creatures Veterinary Center located on Lyons Avenue or the Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital on Soledad right next to the Edwards Cinema. We're going to be back with more with Dr. Maryweather from All Creatures Veterinary Center. We got to get to some things and some traffic. We'll be back right after this. Your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Time is 8:45. Woof woof. I'm trying to get it. We need to get a like some sort of bumper, some sort of intro music here for this segment from the Ask the Doc with Dr. Maryweather from All Creatures Veterinary Center and also Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital, All Creatures Veterinary Center in Newhall on Lyons Avenue, and Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital. You might already guess Canyon Country, right? On Soledad next to the Edwards Cinema. And we were talking, Doctor, earlier about puppies and kittens and the diseases that can be associated, especially if you don't vaccinate them properly and get them in for their checkup. They need to be healthy because we're in for the long haul with our pets. So we want to make sure that they have the best opportunity to grow up to be good pets. And the one thing you said was interesting is that when they're too well behaved, if you get a puppy or kitten that's too well behaved, that's a sign that there may be something.
I think it's the quiet ones.
Right.
You know, we want puppies to be bursting with energy.
Right. And not just kind of laying around. It's very important. And moving forward, so that's good. They get a little older. We're heading toward the holidays now. We're still in the early part of October, but you go and you see the Christmas displays and everything all over the place already. People decorate their houses for Halloween. They get very excited early on. And some of the things too is like the type of foods we think, golly, we're having so much fun with these snacks and these holiday foods that the dog always sitting there, he's looking so cute. Let me toss him a little something. Can we talk a little bit about the care we should take, especially during this time of year when we all like to snack up a little bit, what we should
and eat things we shouldn't.
Right. But it's for us, maybe it's just maybe putting on a few pounds or indulging a little more with our sweet tooth, but for pets it can be actually dangerous to their health, correct?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are pretty familiar with how chocolate can be very toxic to dogs, but also things like fake sugar. So there's a lot of kind of low-calorie type foods out there now, and those can be pretty toxic to dogs and cats as well.
Right, and what about food in general, our lovely Thanksgiving spread? Is there anything that we should watch out for as far as that goes?
So anything kind of high in fat is pretty suspect for kind of pets in general, especially dogs. A lot of breeds, a lot of just any dog, they don't deal with a lot of people food very well.
Right. And that's people make that mistake sometimes. It's like, well, why not? My sister, she's not listening, so I can bust her chops a little bit. Several years ago, I had a dog, and she started feeding her table scraps. It's like, well, what did they do back in the pioneer days? It's like, well,
their dogs lived until it was 3.
Yeah, they didn't have. It's just like people; they didn't have as long of a life. And what we want to do is make sure again that we are getting the best opportunity for the dogs to live as long a life as possible because we love them so much and they love us back, and our dogs and cats too. What about cats in particular? Some people love to give their cats treats. Is it kind of the same thing? Are they susceptible to chocolate and things like that the way dogs are?
Yeah, cats are actually usually more susceptible to things. And so kind of we see it, I think, more often in people who they're like, well, when I'm not feeling well, I take a Tylenol, so I'm going to give it to the dog or the cat who's not feeling well. And those are outright toxic too, especially cats. And so there's a lot of stuff that we can handle that they can't.
Right. And also, one thing that I'd like to warn, and I've had a cat who actually did have this happen, and other cats I know, pets, when you leave out the strings and stuff like that,
yes.
when you are wrapping presents or decorating, and the cats love to play with it, they tend to eat them. And in some cases, they
could do very bad
may
things to
go
the
out the other side, but not very easily. And I will tell you, it's not something you want to come home to on Christmas Day. We had a cat who did that. It was this wonderful little golden thing. We left it out, and he had eaten it. And
oh no!
Yeah, I've had other friends who actually had to have their pets had to have surgery in order to extract some of those things that they have ingested
and
as a
it's a
result.
difficult surgery.
So that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing also, and that's a good opportunity to warn people about that because, you'll end up working a lot harder on the holidays performing surgeries as opposed to the preventive care that we do for our pets.
Yeah, and
right?
I think also in the holidays, it's, a lot of people are visiting family, a lot of decor and food that, wouldn't normally be out is suddenly out. And so I think people are just caught unaware more often as well.
So the main thing, just let kids know, don't feed the dogs your candy when you get it on Halloween. Parents, don't feed the dogs the candies and treats between.
Or leaving them out on the table.
Yeah,
That's
it's out of reach because they don't always realize that, that big thing of wonderful cheese that you left out for the party, and that could be problems. And also reminding people too, when they come over for parties, don't feed the dogs off the plates and things
or
like that.
Or leave the door open.
Yes, very true, because pets do get out. That's especially a time of the holidays, and that happens. So that is good news. Again, thank you, Dr. Maryweather from All Creatures Veterinary Center and Canyon Country Veterinary Hospital for your time and your expertise. And you get to go home now after a night of work, right?
Yep.
Because All Creatures Veterinary Center is open 24/7. So after hours, sometimes you will see Dr. Maryweather, who also treats exotic pets. So, and that doesn't mean the coyote that's trapped in your backyard. It means
we don't see wild animals.
Right. So that would, you call the animal control for that. But birds.
Birds,
fish.
pet birds, not fish, but we do reptiles and we do small mammals.
Got
so
it.
Guinea pigs, rabbits.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Always fun. Time is 8:55. We'll be back in traffic after this.